Tonight on The Big Story, it's a wrap for the Duterte impeachment pre-trial conference. One twist: on the last day of briefing, Mary Grace Piatos will be called by the prosecution team as witness. In Tacloban, victims and their families are reeling from tragedy, trauma, even frustration that not all suspects in the school shooting will end up in prison. And while his brother gives a gentle rebuke to Alan Peter Cayetano, the Palace press officer did not mince words when it comes to the former Senate President. Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. We begin with the looming impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. The pre-trial conference of the prosecution and the defense concluded just a few hours ago. Apart from the marking of evidence, one interesting name came up in the prosecution's witness list. The big story tonight from mobile journalist Merimon Reyes.
Is Mary Grace Piatos a real person? Attempts to find out this person's true identity, whereabouts, or family history go as far back as 2024. This was when the lower house started investigations into Vice President Sara Duterte's alleged misuse of confidential funds. Mary Grace Piatos was supposedly among the recipients of money from the office of the Vice President and a fictitious personality. Or is she? The answer may finally be revealed during the VP's impeachment trial. This much talked about name has been included by the prosecution in their witness list.
Well, mahalaga po yung Mary Grace Piatos kasi nasa sentro siya eh. Nung pong kontrobersiya, nung pong paggamit ng confidential funds, no? Yung existence or non-existence po ni Mary Grace Piatos, yung pong smoking gun, kung talaga nga bang tama o mali, yung pong paggamit ng confidential funds.
Sir, established na ba na totoong tao si Mary Grace Piatos?
Well, that is something that we will have to see in the next couple of weeks.
If ever nakasama, if ever lang, no, I am sure that it will be significant in proving the prosecution's case, no? If ever nakasama si Mary Grace Piatos.
According to the pre-trial brief, Mary Grace Piatos will be presented as witness for Article 1. This accuses the VP of culpable violation of the Constitution, graft and corruption, and betrayal of public trust. That's over the alleged misuse of 612.5 million pesos worth of confidential funds. But the other interesting names on the OVP's acknowledgement receipts won't be summoned: Xiaomi Ocho, Kokoy Villamin, Milky Sequia, among others. For the defense, they are ready for any witness, maintaining that they are ready to explain the use of aliases for confidential funds.
Ang narinig ko, I think kaninang umaga lang, na banggit daw that part siya ng witnesses ng prosecution. Well, that's the prerogative of the prosecution. And sa amin nga, parati namin sinasabi, once they're presented, they will be subjected to cross-examination on our part.
Others to be called to testify on the alleged misuse of confidential funds is VP Sara's own Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika Lopez, and Duterte security officers, Colonel Raymond Lachica and Dennis Dolasco. The prosecution also wants to summon as witnesses several officials from the DepEd and the OVP, as well as the Vice President's former spokespersons, Attorney Reynold Monsayak and Michael Powa himself. Another name on the prosecution panel's list is Sheriff Abe Andres. Andres was the sheriff VP Sara punched back in 2011 during a demolition operation in Davao City. The prosecution says he is being called to testify on VP Sara's alleged tendency for violence. This falls under the charge of grave threat or the alleged kill plot of Duterte against President Marcos, his wife Liza, and cousin, former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Meanwhile, the pre-trial conference for the impeachment of VP Duterte finally concluded on Thursday, June 25. It took both the prosecution and defense panels 5 extended days of meetings to finalize the markings of documentary evidence and witness lists. The pre-trial almost hit a snag when the prosecution asked to open the BIR box containing the tax records of VP Sara and her husband, Attorney Manscarpio. This was settled after the prosecution's manifestation was sent to all senator judges for review.
Well, mahalaga po ito. Katapat po nito yung SALN ng Pangalawang Pangulo from 2007 to 2024. Kasi this will provide a most complete picture of the financial profile of the Vice President.
The defense, however, sees this as irrelevant to the trial.
Ang saklaw ng impeachable offenses ay yung offenses lamang na allegedly nangyari o nasagawa while the public official is occupying an impeachable office. So kaya po ang posisyon namin is everything else before 2022 ay hindi po dapat maging topic or subject ng impeachment na ito.
The disposition of the sealed box rests on the impeachment court, which will open the historic trial against Vice President Duterte on July 6. Kapatid Mobile journalist Mary Monreyes, we are One News.
At the upper chamber, Senators Alan Cayetano and Robin Padilla and former Sergeant-at-Arms Mau Aplasca have been directed by the Ombudsman to submit counter-affidavits over an obstruction of justice complaint. The three supposedly helped Senator Bato de la Rosa evade arrest after an ICC warrant was issued against him. The details from mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, tell us more about this order to Cayetano, Padilla, and Aplasca to submit a counter-affidavit to the Ombudsman.
Yes, in an order dated June 23, 2026, the Office of the Ombudsman has directed former Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano and Senator Robin Padilla to file a counter-affidavit and controverting evidence for their in an obstruction of justice complaint lodged to the Office of the Ombudsman. They are tasked to file the counter-affidavit regarding the questionable escape of Senator Bato de la Rosa from the Senate premises on the dawn of May 14, just days after a news broke out that an international criminal court warrant of arrest against de la Rosa has been issued as a co-perpetrator to the crimes against humanity case of former President Rodrigo Duterte linked to the bloody war on drugs. Former Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Mau Aplasca is among the respondents who are tasked to file an answer. And if we can remember, there was a Senate shootout that happened on the night of May 13, wherein on the dawn at around 2:30 a.m. in the morning, there was a news that came in that Senator Bato de la Rosa has left the Senate premises.
Did the Ombudsman act motu proprio, or was this in answer to a certain complaint filed with the office?
Says this was based on a complaint filed to their office, and it's actually the Tindig Pilipinas and other what we call right advocate groups that filed the complaint on June 3, where they amplified that public office must never be used as a shield against justice. And upon filing the cases, they urged the Office of the Ombudsman to conduct an impartial investigation and ensure public officials who obstruct justice are held accountable.
Arles, you also covered events in the Sandigan Bayan where Senator Jinggoy Estrada's petition to consolidate his cases was denied. Tell us more about these cases and what's the implication of this denial on the request to consolidate such cases?
Well, let's start first with the implication of this denial for the cases to be consolidated. It means that his two charges of graft will be handled and be go into trial between two divisions of the Sandigan Bayan. This is regarding the graft charges he's facing in the Sandigan Bayan linked to the flood control corruption scandal. In a resolution promulgated June 24 says, Sandigan Bayan 5th Division Chairperson and Associate Justice Zaldi Trespeses said Estrada's true graft charges cannot be consolidated because they involve distinct transaction. For his graft case says on the 5th Division, it was an allegation that Estrada received 350 million pesos or 25% kickback from flood control projects in NCR and Oriental Mindoro, while the other graft charge assigned to the 2nd Division talks about the alleged 213 million pesos he received as kickbacks from the infrastructure projects within the province of Bulacan. Again, says two distinct transactions based, of course, from the NBI DOJ task force evaluation. Says.
All right. Now, Arles, you were also present when former Senator Antonio Trillanes filed a complaint against Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Rodante Marcoleta in relation to the so-called Maleta Boys. Tell us more about this particular case.
Yes, says at around 1 p.m. today, former Senator Sonny Trillanes personally filed cyber libel against former Senate President Alan Cayetano and Senator Rodante Marcoleta. The charge stems from what Trillanes called an unauthorized and rogue Senate hearing held on June 4, 2026. Trillanes argued says that on June 3, or before the Cayetano Black Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing was conducted, there was already a shakeup in the Senate where all of the committee chairmanship and seats have been declared vacant. Trillanes said Cayetano and Marcoleta has no parliamentary impunity anymore at the time, hence the complaints. Meanwhile, says for the 18 alleged bagmen who said they delivered suitcases or maleta not just to Trillanes but also to other officials and personalities, this is the third cyber libel complaint Trillanes has filed against them, where the allegation, of course, stemmed from what they say they delivered suitcases or maletas to Trillanes that later were given to the representatives of the International Criminal Court who are handling investigation for the case of former President Rodrigo Duterte. And again, Trillanes has continuously denied the allegation. Let us listen to his statement.
Ang nature po ng cyber libel is bawat okasyon mo na sinasabi yung kasinungalingan na yon ay one count. Okay? Ngayon na it's up to the judge kung i-consolidate nila ito, pero multiple counts na yung ginawa nila.
Now, Arles, let's move to another probe involving Ateneo and the deaths of its two student athletes. What's the development?
Well, says as for the part of the Philippine National Police CIDG, they are expected to file their full report to the Department of Justice tomorrow. We are just waiting for the confirmation of time and for the announcement of SILG John Vic Remulla for the actions and who are the personalities they are expected to file charges against. But on the recent report it says that the PNP CIDG are looking at around 10 to 15 personalities that can be held liable to the death of the student athletes, Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili, on their team building activity in Aurora on June 8. And as for the part of the National Bureau of Investigation says they are yet to complete their full report, as tomorrow Ateneo de Manila University President Father Robert Yap is expected to appear to add more and confirm about the plan of the team building in Aurora, says.
So both the investigation, there are two investigations, two government agencies investigating this, the CIDG and the NBI. So do they anticipate if there will be any conflicts in the findings of the agencies and how this will be addressed?
Well, the way we look at it says, since these are both different law enforcement agencies conducting investigation, we are expecting that they need to first submit their full report, and then it is on the discretion of the Department of Justice whether they will consolidate both full reports and recommendations before they act into it. And aside from that, be there any personalities that needed to be liable or file charges regarding the death of two student athletes, they need to undergo preliminary investigations and further evaluation before they give it to any local courts, says.
And this will be done by the DOJ. It will create
Yes,
a task force that will focus on this particular case?
Well, right now, says we cannot confirm and speak for the DOJ if they will create a separate task force on this one, but at least every complaints and charges filed into their offices, they're handling it with the prosecutors at hand and ensuring that all the parties will be given an opportunity to explain their sides.
Arles, going back to that order by the Ombudsman for Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and I believe, is it Robin Padilla?
Robin Hood Padilla,
Yeah.
yes.
The DOJ is also looking into this, right? It also has a task force that's looking into the possible obstruction of justice of the two senators.
Yes, yes. But the latest we have on that part from the DOJ is that they said that the Senate shooting incident that the Senate was not under attack, but rather there is a gun-related incident wherein Senate Sergeant at Arms Mau Aplaska are among those who shot shot their guns, leading to that incident on that night. And if we can remember, if we remember it correctly, only 5 bullets came from the part of the NBI agents within the premises of the GSIS compound, wherein there is more than 30 bullets that came from the gun of the Senate Sergeant at Arms.
But the 2 senators, what so far have they made any progress in identifying any culpability on the part of those 2?
Well, SOJ Frederick Vida has initially said that for now they are looking closely to Senator Robin Padilla after what he has confirmed in the interviews that it was his car that Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa ride to get out of the Senate, and there's no denying to that. Though he said that Padilla, who I'm pertaining to, that it is within the CCTV footages that will speak for themselves. And since investigations are ongoing within our law enforcement agencies and to those authorities, they will wait for it before he speaks again. But at least on the part of the DOJ, they are looking into it, and we can expect that there might be any or little progress for now before any possible charges will be filed against Padilla.
Thank you. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos there. In the meantime, another controversy has hit beleaguered water service provider Prime Water. It was recently discovered that the company tried to conceal unsafe pollution levels in its wastewater treatment facility. Mobile Journal Fatima Baduria has that story.
Prime Water Infrastructure Corp is facing another fallout over its sewage and wastewater management. A recent inspection by the San Jose del Monte, Bulacan LGU revealed the company allegedly used bypass pipes to inject clean water into their wastewater samples. Further scrutiny by the City Engineer's Office exposed the scheme where clean water was piped into Prime Water Septage Treatment Plant 2 to dilute pollutants. The City Engineer's Office's investigation also alleged that this manipulation began in 2024 after the facility repeatedly failed DENR water quality tests. What's worse, the water that was supposedly treated in the facility are let off into creeks and rivers, potentially harming local waterways and transmit diseases like cholera and hepatitis. Renz Casas of the City Engineer's Office also noted the possibility of this water entering pipes that lead to households.
Since yung ating mga pipeline, nasa ano rin naman, nasa lupa rin yan eh. Minsan may mga crack yan, may mga nag-leak. Pagka nawalan ng tubig yung lalo, pwede pumasok yung marumi. Kumbaga nakakontaminate in other sense.
Casas says they now need to test the water quality in SJDM homes to check whether it has been affected by the anomaly in Prime Water Septage Treatment Plant.
Kailangan muna natin siyempre na i-test yung ating yung water quality dun sa mga bahay para ma-check. Lalo, makikita mo dyan yung mga fecal coliform, ganyan. Yun yung mga isang example kasi usually ito fecal coliform ang mga delikadong bakterya nandito eh. Possible, pero hindi ko ma-confirm unless meron tayong testing.
Last May, the city government of SJDM assumed control of water supply operations previously managed by Prime Water, the joint venture partner of the San Jose del Monte Water District. It cited the company's failure to address the city's worsening water distribution crisis for the takeover. Earlier this month, SJDM city government announced a partnership with Metro Pacific Water to help resolve the water crisis. MPW is a wholly owned subsidiary of Metro Pacific Investments Corp. MPW was appointed as SJDM's temporary partner for water distribution operations under an initial 2-month consultancy contract. But the development faced a legal blockade when Prime Water filed another petition seeking injunctive relief against the local government's efforts to resolve the water crisis. Kapatid Fatima Baduria, We Are One News.
You're watching The Big Story in One News, and when we return, we have details of this statement from the Palace Press officer aimed at a senator.
Siguro pagka nagkaroon ng pagkakataon, tanungin siya, saan niya kinukuha yung mga kwento niya? Puro pang iintriga. Walang basihan, walang pinanghuhugutan.
involved sa bilyong-bilyong korupsyon sa flood control dyan sa San Pedro, Laguna. Huwag po kayong maniniwala kay Attorney Melvin Matibag dahil po yan ay bobo. Tanga po yan, hindi niya alam ang kanyang ginagawa.
Dito po sa NBI, puro mga professional, bawal po ang bobo at tara dito sa NBI. Yung pong kanyang pagdadamay at pag-aakusa tungkol sa mga flood control na pati ang aking pamilya ay dadamay, kung meron po siyang malino na ebidensya, magkaso siya.
Former Congressman Mike Defensor and NBI Chief Melvin Matibag there. Their word war is still raging as the NBI gets ready to file human trafficking complaints against Defensor tomorrow over a nightclub raid in Pasig last April. Over in Tacloban, classes are still suspended at the San Jose National High School after a shooting there that killed 3 students. While police investigate, the Senate will also conduct an inquiry on the gruesome crime. The details from mobile journalist Jazz Paredes.
This grade 10 student is still in the hospital. She is among the 20 wounded after 2 of her schoolmates opened fire at the San Jose National High School in Tacloban on June 22. One of the bullets hit her right leg. The victim is supposed to be discharged from hospital 3 days after the gruesome crime, but the pain is still too unbearable.
Kagabi, nagtutuok kay...
Umiiyak siya?
Umiiyak siya kay masakit daw yung paa niya. Tapos yung balikat niya masakit din. Kaninang umaga din, nagsabi siya, Mama, masakit yung paa ko.
It was the student's older sibling who had frantically called their mom while the shooting happened.
Naghanap po din po ako kung nasan yung anak ko. Kaya sabi kasi ng anak ko may tama. Naghanap pa din po ako kahit hindi pa yung nahuhuli yung namarili. Pag nalaman ko na po na nasa ambulansya na po siya, doon na po ako kumalma.
And then, another mother, with other parents of the Tacloban school that suddenly became scene of the crime. They called for justice by way of proper charges against the 2 minor suspects. Alias Rod, 15 years old, and alias Nash, 14 years old, are now called children in conflict with the law or CICLs. Only Rod has been charged with multiple counts of murder, frustrated murder, and serious physical injury.
Kasi tumaopay ko sa pangaran po sila mga minor de edad. Kailangan po din po ng makakatarungan kasi hindi naman po agad siling kukunit kabataan, agi trauma, tapos yung mga namatay na mga bata, yung mga kag-anak nila, masaklap din po. Kasi kinabuhi din po ng ibang bata yung nawala.
Meanwhile, this grade 9 student is still in intensive care due to a gunshot wound on the stomach. The victim is now stable but severely traumatized.
Sana, batas, makulong yung isa, pati siya dahil may kasalanan. Silang dalawa yung trabaho, isa lang yung makukulong. Hindi dapat. Yun lang sa ating pamahalaan. Justisya lang para sa mga biktima.
Inside the school, a memorial has been set up for the 3 teenagers who got killed. Classes are still suspended at the San Jose High School, while teachers, students, and parents undergo psychological first aid. And there's new information coming out. The 2 young suspects had a target. One witness said alias Rod and alias Nash looked for the target and not finding the person, they went on shooting at random. With this, the palace said President Bongbong Marcos has ordered a more thorough investigation into the incident.
Heartbroken, masasabi natin, ang naramdaman ng Pangulo dahil mga bata ang lumalabas na kaya na gumawa ng krimen. Kayang magplanong gumawa ng krimen. At mga inosenteng mga kabataan din ang nabibiktima. Niuutos din po ng Pangulo ang agarang pag-determine ano ang nagiging ugat nito. Maliban po sa nakita ng Pangulo na may kinalaman ng iba mga gaming apps na marahas. So dapat makita po talaga kung saan nagbumula ito, kung nagkakaroon ba ng panggagaya, nagiging parang normal ang ganitong klase ng kaharasan.
The Senate, for its part, will also conduct an inquiry on the Tacloban High School shooting on July 1.
Tingnan natin kung ano nakaka-impluwensya sa bata. At pangalawa, dapat ma-implementa ng mabuti itong batas lalo na yung pagtatatag ng mga bahay pag-asa sa buong bansa. Isa sa mga nakikita ko ay dapat mahinto no, yung mga nagbibigay ng masamang impluwensya sa ating mga kabataan at isa sa mga i-final nating panukalang batas yung pag-ban ng social media sa mga 16 years old and below.
Kapatid Josh Paredes, we are One News.
More headlines for you here on The Big Story. The United Arab Emirates has expanded its visa on arrival program for more Filipino travelers starting June 25. Those who may qualify are Filipino passport holders with valid visas, residence permits, or green cards from countries such as the United States, Australia, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Canada, New Zealand, or even EU member states. The Department of Foreign Affairs said the new policy is expected to simplify travel procedures for eligible citizens. It added the arrangement will strengthen people-to-people exchanges between the Philippines and the UAE. The visa on arrival privilege will be granted subject to requirements set by UAE authorities. Meantime, the Japanese embassy in the Philippines clarified that temporary visitor visas for Filipinos will remain free. This came after Japan announced plans to increase visa fees for foreign nationals starting July 1st. According to the embassy, the exemption applies to short-term visitors traveling for tourism, business, or family visits for a maximum of 90 days. This policy will remain in effect until March 31, 2027. Tokyo is set to implement a 5-fold global visa fee increase, pushing single entry fees to 15,000 yen or roughly 5,800 pesos. Filipino travelers will only need to set aside budget for handling fees charged by accredited local travel agencies. This is The Big Story in One News, and after the break, we have the back and forth between the former Senate President and the palace press officer.
Just remember who you are, Kiko. Diba? Kiko D. Aquino ka, hindi ka Kiko D. Marcos. Diba? So don't get instructions from the administration.
Si Mr. Kiko D. Aquino ay hindi po siya maka-PBBM. Isa po siyang madalas mag-criticize sa gobyerno. Kaya muli, ang sinasabi ni Senator Alan Cayetano ay puro pang iintriga.
Mahalaga po yung Mary Grace Piatos kasi nasa sentro siya nung pong kontrobersiya, nung pong paggamit ng confidential funds. No? Yung existence or non-existence po ni Mary Grace Piatos, yung pong smoking gun, kung talaga nga bang tama o mali, yung pong paggamit ng confidential funds. Well, that is something that we will have to see in the next couple of weeks.
You're still watching The Big Story. Lino Cayetano has called on his brother, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, to stop his antics on social media. In a recent Facebook Live, the former Senate President again took a swipe at Senator Panfilo Lacson about the flood control scandal. He also attacked Tindig Pilipinas convener Kiko Aquino D., who filed a complaint against him in connection with the escape of Senator Bato de la Rosa.
So kung gusto niyo ng pampaputi, punta kayo kay Senator Lacson kasi magaling mag-whitewash. Just remember who you are, Kiko. Diba? Kiko D. Aquino ka, hindi ka Kiko D. Marcos. Diba? So don't get instructions from the administration.
Senator Alan made the remark yesterday which coincided with the death anniversary of former President Noynoy Aquino. That prompted his brother Lino to post a message on Instagram. Tama na, Alan, he appealed. PTV4 General Manager Lino has also apologized to the Aquino family. Alan Cayetano's tirades also reached the palace, and press officer Yusek Claire Castro is not letting this pass.
So saan po kaya hinuhugot ng dating Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano ang kanyang mga kwento? Siguro sa susunod po, tanungin nyo. Kaya lang, puro Facebook yata po siya, no? Siguro pagka nagkaroon ng pagkakataon, tanungin siya, saan niya kinukuha yung mga kwento niya. Mapabanggit natin si Mr. Kiko D. Aquino ay hindi po siya maka-PBBM. Isa po siyang madalas mag-criticize sa gobyerno. Kaya muli, ang sinasabi ni Senator Alan Cayetano ay puro pang-iintriga. Walang basihan, walang pinanghuhugutan.
Now from word wars, let's move to a more positive note. Food is more than what we put on our plates. It also tells the story of our communities, our culture, and the environment that sustains them. One advocate has made it his mission to share those stories. John Sherwin Felix, founder of Localpedia, has traveled across the country to document the ingredients, dishes, and food traditions that shape Filipino cuisine. Through his work, he brings greater attention to local producers, indigenous knowledge, and regional food heritage. Here we feature initiatives that help preserve heritage and empower communities. Welcome to Sustainability. And now joining us this evening is the man behind Localpedia, John Sherwin Felix. Good evening, John. Welcome to
Thank you. Good evening.
Sustainability.
Yes. Good evening, Mrs.
Well, you had your own share of a word war.
Yes.
But we'll put that aside and I'll ask you about that later. But
Sure.
what led you to pursue this advocacy in 2021? It's quite young.
Yes.
And that was the year that we all remember as when the pandemic struck.
That's the onset of pandemic when everyone trapped in their homes.
Yeah.
Then I started cooking and na-realize ko, but parang nasaan yung mga unique ingredients? I cannot just go to grocery lang, parang I find it lacking. So I started going around in my province, Occidental Mindoro. There I started discovering kalumpit, talking with the mangyans and the vendors in the palengke. And doon ako nagkaroon ng idea, I can document the biocultural asset that we have here in the Philippines.
Yes, because if you live in Metro Manila, kunyari Macopa, saan ka pupunta? Wala.
Wala.
Oo.
But you can go around even in the urban areas if you just know where to look. If you are familiar with the plants and the food and the ingredients, manonotice mo sila eh. We have this quite blindness with the plants and everything. Na kapag hindi natin alam, we tend to ignore this food.
So this is a great advocacy. It started from cooking. Pero where were you trapped? In Mindoro or in Manila?
In Mindoro.
Ah, you were
Yes.
in Mindoro.
Yes.
Okay. And now, you're going around the country documenting all these, I would say, you can call them heirloom na,
Yes.
no? Heirloom ingredients. How do you, because you gave up your job
Yes.
to do this.
I'm a public relations manager before doing full-time this documentary work.
So now, you fund your travels yourself. How do you make money? Sorry.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. That's the usual question. Traveling is very expensive,
Yes.
but my salary before from public relations, and then there are few generous patrons with sa project.
Oh, you opened the GoFundMe
Before, I mean, in 2023, Toyo Eatery nag-help. Erwan Yusuf, nagtulong din sila. The whole community, food and beverage, nag-contribute sila sa research ko.
So this is not about money,
Yeah.
but really, what? Tell us what it is.
Well, one of the goal is
That
actually
drives
to give light to our biocultural asset na hindi kilala. I mean, we only know when I talk to a college student, they cannot even name 18 vegetables outside Bahay Kubo. So, imagine we have so much wealth. For example, I documented more than 1,000 plants that are eaten in the Philippines. And
1,000?
Yeah, more than thousands. It's a lifetime work and still lumalaki pa siya. So we have, but the problem is...
That can be lost also.
Yeah.
Kasi kung hindi mo kilala, di natural, hindi mo papansinin.
Yes.
So it's small communities that still continue to eat these ingredients, these plants.
usually these are in the talagang sa mga tagong lugar na doon talaga yung intact pa yung mga habitat and ecosystem, which all of these are also threatened.
Correct.
Yun lang hindi nila nakikita yung connection ng pagkain with the environment and even also with the connection with the makers. Hindi natin kilala yung pagkain natin kasi hindi natin kilala kung sino yung gumagawa or saan nanggagaling yung food natin.
Amazing. I salute the work that you're doing. Kaya dapat lang na suportahan ka. Ngayon, itong Localpedia, is it a site or a Facebook account?
It started, nag-start siya sa Facebook because that's the most accessible to anyone.
And being a millennial.
Millennial.
Ay, sa bagay, hindi na pang millennial ang Facebook. TikTok na, di ba?
Oo, yeah.
Matatanda nang tumatambay sa Facebook, they say.
May TikTok na rin and IG.
You have a TikTok?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I started doing videos. Actually, Localpedia started as a collection of photographs because I realized that a lot of our
Okay, what we're seeing here are your photographs.
a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
thousands ingredients, dishes, even events, festivals not connected to food. So, I mean, photograph pa lang ito. So, sabi ko, ito yung magiging
Pwede itong show,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yes. Lagi nga may nagko-comment, sana may segment ka sa I mean, well, we have online naman na rin. But, sabi ko dati,
To make it more wide, to widen the reach.
Yes.
Right. No, go ahead. Continue.
Yung sabi ko dati, pag nagbabasa ako ng libro, may mga nababanggit na mga ingredients or halaman, tapos ano kaya itsura niya?
Yeah.
Doon siya nag-start. Sabi ko, okay, ito pala itsura niya, kailangan kong i-document.
It's really the
picture?
curiosity.
Curiosity?
And hindi pwedeng tumigil sa libro lang.
Yes,
Oo.
yes. And then, hindi lang pala yung importante yung mapicturan siya, but ang dami pa palang oral na information na hindi natin na isusulat. The uses, the beliefs that surrounds
So
this
you
food.
interview the members of the community that you go to.
Yes, yes. Very important,
Do
that's
you
why.
use video?
Now, I use videos na. So that's why I'm yung Localpedia.
Mahal na endeavor, mahal.
Super. I mean, just to give you an example.
You just came from Sagada.
Yes.
And amazing what you documented. I checked your Facebook page. Mushroom, yung parang truffle.
Yes, it is called buo. And it's a earth ball mushroom. Ang interesting, I think meron photograph siguro.
Okay.
Interesting dito,
We'll stop when we see it.
Yung merong species na meron tayo dito is edible. While sa West, na kinakatakutan nila yan. Like, hindi nila, kasi
Yung
poison.
mushroom
Yeah, yung mushroom na mukhang
yun?
truffle na yon. But,
Anong lasa?
earthy.
Masarap.
Yes, masarap. Pag young, mas milky yung lasa niya. Mas nutty. But pag tumanda, nagkulay dark marbled yung pattern niya sa loob. Medyo mapait, pero masarap pa din naman.
Paano linuluto ng mga...
Adobo, grilled, or ilagay mo sa dinengdeng, pinakbet. Yun, yung mga preparation.
Sarap.
Yes, super.
Sarap, dinding with mushrooms.
Yeah. And that's just one of many mushrooms of Cordillera na edible, ng uplands.
And in the West, what they have is poisonous, you're saying?
Yes. But in Asia, Philippines, and Yunnan, China, and I think also in Thailand, we have this traditional consumption of it. Kaya nakatay siya sa traditional knowledge ng community. Ang galing, di ba? Parang sabi nga yung local doon, if traditional knowledge is very important because kung di mo alam, tatlo lang kakahantungan mo. Langit, hospital, good trip. I mean, you're lucky if it's
May magic mushrooms ba doon?
Yes, meron. But also edible.
Yeah.
Sadism.
Yeah. And they put it in food?
Yes. So dapat hindi siya half cook. Pag dapat i-cook mo all the way, pero kapag naluto mo na hindi na bahagya lang, pag kinain mo, makakakita ka ng mga maliliit na tao. That's actually very common.
But it's part also of the shaman. Yung mga shaman doon or mga elders, the healers, do they take that to be able to heal?
Well, so far,
May healing
yung with the medicina, with ritual or religion, wala pa silang nabanggit sa akin. Wala rin at least do sa community sa Gada, walang use for religious purposes. More on culinary.
More on eating lang. Okay. Now, since this is a very worthy endeavor, is the government supporting you at all?
I don't have any income, I mean, from or any
No,
grants.
I mean to support what you're doing, so because it's about our heritage.
Yeah.
Wala. Or you'd rather not.
Actually, that's one. I mean,
You'd
medyo
rather not.
I rather
It might
not.
limit you.
Yes. Also, I want to prove that doon kasi nung bata pa ako, around early 20s, that a young kid can do wonders na without any support of the government. So yun talagang nagawa ko na siya for 6 years. Tama ba? 6 years? Kaya ko na siyang
5
patapos
years
na.
pa lang,
5 years pa lang.
2021.
5 years, but...
But Localpedia has grown since then. Okay, I'd like to touch on that controversy where, and I suppose this is out of your passion
Yes.
for the truth and
Yes.
authenticity,
Yes.
na you got into this, nasuka for cyber libel.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about what you learned from this experience. Na, I guess this is also the reason why you don't like government support, because of the experience with the DTI
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, kasi...
What did you learn from that experience?
Kasi when you have the resources of the public, you have a big responsibility. Kaya ako, hindi rin ako gumagamit ng resources of the public. And of course, anyone na gagamit nun, meron din siyang accountability.
So it was you as a taxpayer that made this
yeah, those
complaint,
comments.
those
yeah.
comments.
As a taxpayer and also a food heritage advocate. Sino pang magsasalita kundi kami-kami din, di ba? But what I learned is, of course, is huwag ka matakot magsalita. May impact naman siya kasi now, nag-release naman yung author ng statement niya at itatama niya na yung mga errors. So,
na sinabi mo.
Yan, sinabi ko.
Accepted, Jam accepted your criticism.
Yes.
And this cyber libel complaint was dismissed, no?
Yes.
It didn't prosper. So it just shows na tama yung ginawa mo, I guess.
Yeah, there's no malice and of course, I don't any grudge kay Jam.
Yeah. So your approach is really to go straight to the source, to go to the field. And you say, you are against extractive form of documentation. Can you elaborate? Anong ibig sabihin ng extractive form of documentation?
There are many ways you pwede ka mag-exploit ng isang community. The one is you're not giving credit. Well, ano ba yung para sa komunidad? Not necessarily for about money, but you also need to acknowledge that they are also your co-author. They are also source. They are scientists, they are experts. You need to give credit to them. So mention
Meron
them.
bang mga ganyan?
A lot. That's actually an issue in academe. So, di ba na they will extract knowledge and then parang yung community subject lang but hindi author. Di ba? So now, that's just one. So also, there's also biopiracy. So that's why I'm very careful on documenting these
Kunyari yung
cultural
mushrooms na yung kinuha mo at nagpatubo ka sa ibang lugar. That's bad?
That's
That's unethical.
That's also an ethical issue na debatable pa rin. But it can be unethical, especially if there's no consent from the community and they have no benefits from them. Tapos ikaw pagkakakitaan mo, that's unethical.
Because I can just imagine yung mushroom na yon, pwedeng gamitin ng chef.
Yes. Yeah.
So how is the ethical way of a chef going to Sagada and using that mushroom to create a new dish, for
I think
instance?
one way for chefs now, especially they have the resources, is to connect with the producers. Always know where your food coming from, di ba? Kung hindi mo alam, hindi baka delikado yun, baka unethical ang pag-source na yan, kinuha lang somewhere.
Tsaka dapat the community benefits.
Yes.
And you highlight also, yung itong mushroom na to, wild lang ba yan?
Yeah,
Or
they're all wild. They are
can you imagine if that habitat gets destroyed?
They,
Wala na.
they have symbiotic relationship with the roots of pine trees. So kapag nawala yung pine forest, wala na rin yung mga mushrooms. And actually medyo umiiba na nga yung pattern ng growing nila because of course climate change, that's one.
Umiinit ang panahon.
Yes, meron mga random forest fires. And that's not just mushroom. A lot of our fruits, vegetables, malapit nang mawala. I mean, that's not fear-mongering.
What are the endangered ingredients, vegetables, fruits na pwedeng mawala?
Number one, I think
Yung kalumpit is a berry, is some, what is that?
it's a fruit, a single-seeded
It's not a
fruit.
berry.
It's not a berry, I think. It's a
Parang
tree,
hindi pa ako
napakatangkad
niyan.
ng puno. Ang for reference na lang, para siyang plum. Yung kalumpit Bulacan, doon nang galing yung pangalan niya. But ilan na lang ang kalumpit sa kalumpit Bulacan?
Oh, meron ba?
Konti na lang. I mean,
Napuntahan mo
yes,
yun?
of course. Nag-interview ako. Tapos, even yung mga tao, hindi nga nila alam na doon pala galing doon sa puno na yun eh.
What are the endangered ones before we go to the most exciting ones? Ano yung endangered? Para matakot tayo at gumawa tayo ng paraan.
We have the red durian called dugyan in Palawan. Can be found in southern part of Palawan.
Red durian?
Red durian. We have orange, we have red, we have white, we have a durian that grows.
And yet gusto natin yung Malaysian variety, yung Thai variety.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yung mga imported. We even have a durian that grows on the ground. Sa ilalim ng puno niya, hindi sa
Roots?
taas.
It's a root crop?
Ay, hindi. Pero sa pinakailalim lang. Tapos amoy poop ng cat. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yes.
ayoko pa yatang kumain.
Kakaiba.
Pinakamabahong durian siguro yan.
I think so.
But is it good?
Scant yung durian na yun na maliit, medyo scant yung kanyang meat. So, sakto lang. Siguro with selection, ma-improve yung quality niya.
So what was, okay, now let's move to the surprising discoveries you've had. Or delights. What delighted you?
Yung sige, one is recent, the called lumlum, na is a dish in coastal areas of Bulacan, and they use this alagaw or pampabango sa parang part siya ng meat family. And then
Wait, I've heard of alagaw. What is it? What is?
isa small tree, tapos may yung leaves niya, medyo pag krinash may
Yes, you can eat the alagaw.
Yeah.
It's hairy.
Yeah, medyo
Oo.
hairy.
Yes.
Parang
Okay.
velvet, no?
So, oo.
But the interesting thing is kung saan siya ginagamit. Ginagamit siya sa bilasang isda. Mga isdang
Pagbilasan na.
Pag yung isda, either fish kill, or namatay siya, talagang kukunin nila, or bilasa sa palengke, yung mga hindi nabenta.
Okay.
But some locals also bury the fish, or sometimes shrimp, sa putik. So paglabas na yun, very funky ang smell.
Ganon?
Yes, and then lalagyan nila ng alagaw. Sobrang surprising sa akin yun na it shows how, diba, na talagang wala tayong sasayangin.
Paano tayo, we don't waste anything. Kung bilasan na yung isda, lagyan mo ng alagaw, anong lasa? Parang binuro?
Kakaiba siya eh. I mean, may coconut milk din siya, so isa quite creamy. But may funky talaga siya na lasa.
Parang binuro.
Parang buro
Kasi
na din.
kung paano binabaon sa putik, binabalot sa alagaw?
Hindi na. Sa pagluluto na yon. Pag ilalagay nila sa putik, either siya or nakalagay sa plastic, talagang nasa ilalim talaga siya.
Ano daw ang dahilan?
Maybe they just want
Parang
to...
century egg.
Oh yeah, parang deliberate to introduce the funky.
To deliberately make it sport?
Yeah, somehow.
Parang bagoong.
Yeah, but there's also fermentation happening. Yung proteins, aside from sugar, protein can also be fermented na siya lang. So I think that's one of the purpose nun.
John, there's been a global demand for ube.
Okay.
How do you see this as someone who wants to really sort of preserve our heritage?
Okay.
Especially when it comes to food.
Wow, there's a really demand outside, overseas, and even in the Philippines, number one, I think we need to consider even the local demand, hindi natin masuplayan. Second, I think if the government, or if everyone thinks that the ube is the next big thing, we fail as a nation because we have so many ingredients.
Oo nga, hindi lang, bakit ube lang ang... Well, because... Yun ang gusto ng foreigner.
Sure. I mean, yun nga, parang...
So, okay, elaborate. If we think ube is the next best thing, we fail as a nation because...
Because we have so many underutilized crop. And if you put a pressure...
More fascinating than
More
ube.
fascinating. I mean, they are equally fascinating. But if you put a pressure
All
to
our
one...
eggs on ube,
Yeah.
parang ganon.
Oo.
Like now, I think UP Los Baños is developing all these varieties na high yielding.
Yeah. For example, sustainability. I mean, if you put pressure to one crop, and then we're going to be a very commercial level.
Parang
di ba?
magiging inihaw na manok na naman yung
Yeah,
ganon.
yeah,
Everybody
parang-
will go to ube.
Yeah.
And then it's like a monoculture type.
Exactly. That's why the best practice is to actually diversify our offerings, our diet, and our products.
So, well, but you know, it will mean increased income for our farmers.
Hopefully. But
Baka-
for the last decades, the farmers are one of unsupported sectors of the society. We have aging farmers.
True. How do you see this? Where should agriculture support the farmer? Kasi now, on rice, we've practically given up because it's cheaper to import. But there are also our heirloom varieties na are endangered of disappearing, or they're producing but we don't know. There's no system of bringing them to the market that wants them. Like Manila, gusto
Yes.
naman natin. So where do you see in all the travels you've made, saan dapat tuunan ng Agriculture Department ang pansin para matulungan ang magsasaka? Dapat ba tayo mag-give up na sa rice?
Hindi naman, kasi I think, one is I think to push culturally appropriate food. Sometimes kasi you have these programs that push these commodity crops that na hindi naman akma dun sa lugar nila.
Okay.
Tapos papalitan nila yung kanilang mga sinaunang mga tanim. That's one. Kumbaga, the problem pa lang, wala pang tinatanim yung magsasaka. May problema na, wala na agad access. That's one na kailangan nilang pagtuunan ng pansin. Di ba? So, kaya ang minsan nangyayari, mga, let's say, very limited selection of crops ang nabibigay sa mga farmers.
Kunyari, kalumpit, ba't ka wala namang bumibili niya, wala nga nakakakilala eh. So,
I think, wala nang bumibili kasi wala na sila makita. Baka hindi na nila alam. And that's another, I think, one thing that the government should also put effort is knowledge dissemination.
so this is where you see your role.
Yes.
I hope you'll put out a book.
That's the end goal.
That's the end goal. So what year are we looking at?
Um,
Before you answer, sa 82 provinces ng Pilipinas, ilan na yung nabisita mo?
I think more than 50 plus. Hindi ko na kasi binibilang talaga. Kasi most of the time, it's not just a matter of taking 82 provinces.
Right.
For example, Ilocos Norte, I've been there more than 20 times.
Because of the unique ingredients.
Sila ang isa sa pinaka-unique sa consumption ng vegetables, the Ilocano people.
Kaya mahabang buhay nila.
That's why, I mean, that's one of the pananaw nila sa Ilocano. You know, they eat source of flowers, all sorts of, even a type of bacteria na mukhang algae, but is actually bacteria na nasa lupa, kinakain nila.
Ano yun?
It's called tabtaba. So, pwede nyo siyang i-search sa Localpedia.
Dapat ka magka-show dito.
Why not, di ba?
Talaga?
Sige. Sabi nga.
Yes, because what you're doing is so unique.
Thank you.
Walang gumagawa niyan.
In a way, yung talagang sa kaidaran ko, wala talaga. May mga nauna ng mga pioneers of the food, pero yung talagang nuances ng ingredients talaga. Kasi when you talk about ingredients, you also talk about the dish and also the environment kung saan siya nakukuha.
And the community.
And the community.
And the people who, yung mga tao mismo.
Yes po.
I guess your edge is because bata ka pa. You have the energy.
Yes.
Because those who've been into this are, well, ayoko naman sabihing matatanda, but they're a little older.
Well, in a way, somehow totoo din. Kasi when I go to events, for example, in the National Museum, ako palaging pinakabata, parang mga, I mean, that's a fact. Like,
Yeah.
mostly sa, yung mga adults yung interest. But also, that's also my role. To show na, ako bata, dapat lahat din tayo interesado.
And you're getting the youth interested, the younger
Yes.
people interested in these obscure ingredients. You know, we've gone out of time. Overtime na nga. We've run out of time, I mean. So, it's your birthday tomorrow, apparently.
Yes po.
Happy birthday to
Thank you.
tumatanda ka na.
30.
So, what's your what's your bucket list pa?
Book.
Okay.
Sana ma-publish ko na. I mean, tinututukan ko siya the past 5 years. But hopefully, 1 to 2 years, ma-publish ko na I think the only book about Philippine ingredients.
I'm sure you'll find many patrons, and I hope you'll find one with deep pockets.
Yes po.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. That was John Sherwin Felix of Localpedia. And those are the big stories this Thursday. Ayan, umuwi na ata yung mga cameraman, no? Sorry. June 25, I'm Cesar Reña Gilon, kapatid. We are One News, your side all the time. Good night.